What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well today. It is Thursday, April 28th. My name is Raphael Garcia, and this is episode 118 of the MMA Ratings podcast. As always, thank you for taking the time to check out our content and listen to us here on the MMA Ratings YouTube channel. I appreciate you taking the time to do so. In light of today being Avengers Endgame Day, I'm going to do an early show because I'm going to go see the movie later on this evening at 11 o'clock. And normally, Shawan and I will be knee deep in talking about MMA. So you see what has my priority. Michael already went and saw it because he got some special screening yesterday. So, hell, I'm going to go see it tonight. I'm going to go see it as soon as I get out of training because that's just what we like to do around here, hopefully. And with that in mind, we'll go ahead and kind of talk about a couple different things today. But as always, thank you for taking the time to check us out on this podcast. Please be sure to like and subscribe our content. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel here by hitting the subscribe button. You can check us out on Instagram and Twitter at MMA Ratings Net, and you can catch us on that's right. Instagram and Twitter at MMA Ratings Net, and you can catch me at @rgarcia_sports. Shawan Michael and Adam Martin also have their own Twitter handles. So if you find out what they are, catch up to them as well too, because they're always talking about interesting things in the world of mixed martial arts. And today we're going to be talking about, I'm guessing this UFC on ESPN Plus 7, which was this past weekend from St. Petersburg, Russia, and UFC on ESPN Plus 8, which is this weekend. I think it's in Fort Lauderdale, maybe. I'm not really sure where that one is, or I think that one's being called Sunrise, something like that. Then you also have Bellator 220, which is also Saturday, which is the card I'm kind of looking forward to the most out of the two there. But first thing I want to talk about is Alistair Overeem because he picked up a big first round win. I think it was a first round win on Saturday over NFC Nick, right? Who's the guy's name he just beat? Oh man, let's see. Overeem fought on Saturday and he just beat. Yes, that's right. Alexi Onik. I thought I was saying his first name wrong. But he got a first round win via TKO, knees and punches, and it was a pretty interesting fight because at first it looked like Overeem was hurt. I didn't really think he was as hurt as everybody thought he was, as the announcers were playing it up. But he secured the tie punch and he landed some pretty solid knees to the temple, dropping Oy- Olenek and finishing him off with strikes from the mount with just 15 seconds left in the first round. And it was his second win in a row. He's won two out of his last four out of his last six. And many people are wondering if he is in a position where he can still get a title shot again before calling it the quits. And he's 36 years old. Let me check to make sure. 38. He's 38 years old and he'll be turning 39 next month. But the thing about the heavyweight division is that if you can hang around and get the right fights for an extended period of time, can find himself in a position to get another title shot sometime in the future. The question is whether or not he'll ever become champion. That's a whole nother conversation there. But if you look at what's going on, obviously you have Cormier at the top, and there's no word on if he'll be fighting either Stipe or Brock Lesnar or John Jones. I mean, those three men are the main sticking points with who he will fight before his career is all said and done. But then you have Francis Ngannou, who has a win over Overeem and JDS. They are in the 2 and 3 slot, and they're fighting coming up. Curtis Blades has a win over Overeem as well. I think he has a fight scheduled too. Let me see. Let me see if Curtis Blades has a fight scheduled. I think he does. So he just fought back in March of this year. So I'm guessing he does not have one scheduled. So he's ranked at number 4. Derek Lewis. I think Derek Lewis is coming off of a loss. Ratings have been updated since over the rankings have been updated since opening win. But yeah, Derek Lewis is coming off a loss to JDS in March. Then you have Alexander Volkov, who is the individual that Overeem called out. Volkov does not have anything for it. I think he was supposed to be in. Let's see. Alexander Volkov, yeah, he was supposed to face Overeem in April. Or yeah, he was supposed to face Overeem, but he was pulled out of the fight. So he's coming off with a loss. So there is a pathway for Overeem to get back into the title picture. Defeating Volkov would help, and he could probably be like an injury replacement or something along those lines. He would, but I don't see it happening this year. That could be something that would occur next year. But I do think he can position himself to get back in the title picture. Winning the belt, though, that's a whole other conversation, and I honestly don't see him defeating any of those individuals who are at the top of the ladder. Overeem's great. I mean, he's one of my favorite heavyweights. He has been one of my favorite heavyweights I have enjoyed much of his career. I think he's finally gone back to calling himself the Volition Man as well, which I think is awesome. That went down on Saturday during his announcement. But I've always been a big fan of Alexander here, but I just don't think he is going to find himself with that UFC strap around his waist. But he's still one of the best heavyweights of all time, in my opinion. Definitely in the rankings, not the top heavyweight of all time, but he's definitely one of the best. So we have that, and that's really all I wanted to talk about from that event on Saturday. It was interesting seeing, what's her name, a loss to Roxanne Modafferi. I don't even think it should have been a split decision. I thought she was going to get some home cooking there for a second. That's an important win for Modafferi. I don't think it doesn't hinder Shevchenko too much taking that L, but it, she the matchmaking for her must be she has to kind of work on that ground skill set to begin with. The way she came, if she would have came out like she did in the third round for the second and the third, I think she would have took this fight because she was much more aggressive and coming out and striking with Roxanne because she was clearly a much better striker, picking her apart for much of that round, but she didn't get started soon enough, and it kind of shown. Roxanne was able to get her take her down, she kept passing, she kept getting them out, she kept attacking. So I agree with the decision there. I don't think it should have been a split, but I think that's an important win for Roxanne because it's one of those wins where, again, I think she was counted out in this situation. And she's been counted out before. Obviously, she finally got back to the UFC. She was at a point where it looked like her career would be over. But it's good to see her get that victory and continue to look good even at this high point. And she's someone that's kind of inspirational within the sport. And I'm glad to see her continuing to get some steam and picking up a big win on Saturday. Those are probably the two biggest points for me. I mean, a lot of people talked about the the Islam Makhachev fight against Arman. I can't even say this guy's last name. That was a great fight, especially someone who enjoys grappling as much as I do. Their back and forth was excellent. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed what we saw there. So that was a great fight. But overall, this was a decent card. It was an early morning card. I watched it, made my money, went home for the rest of the day. I don't think that there's anything really anything that you should stop yourself and go back and watch from this card. Catch the highlights and keep it moving. But I would like to turn my attention to this weekend's event where we have two fight cards. As I mentioned, one we have Bellator 220 and UFC on ESPN Plus. What 8? Whatever that number is. I know I can't always forget what their naming conventions are this time around. So, but these two events are going on both on Saturday, but the Bellator card kind of stands out to me. It's more interesting to me just because of who's fighting on it and what's at stake. I look at that. So when I look at this card, I'm gonna look at. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna spend more time on that Bellator card. Let's start with this UFC card first, and obviously you have Jacare against Jack Hermanson. Herman's coming off that first round finish over David Branch, where he submitted him with, I think it was a standing guillotine version, and he got that tap over David Branch, who's a really tough Renzo Gracie black belt, someone who's competed at some very high levels in grappling. And just to see Jack, who's not probably well known for his submission abilities, just to see him be able to submit somebody like that was really kind of stood out to me. He has a tougher test in Jacare, one who many people believe has some of the best grappling in martial arts today. I would argue that there are some other names from what he is may stand out higher than him, but are definitely worth the conversation. So that is a very interesting fight. I expect Sosa to win because I can see him doing enough of doing a good enough job being able to strike with Jack, and the grappling is going to be his game plan and his space there. The question, as I always ask, is how do these guys look on the lower end of their as they get higher up in age? He's 39 years old. He's taken damage over the years. He's been stopped once in his last time. So he was stopped by Robert Whitaker in 2017. And then he was stopped back by Dagon Rosasi almost 10 years before that in 2008. So you know that he has the ability to, he's durable. But at some point in time, it begins to go. And you have to wonder, if that is a, if that is going to show itself up at any point in time. And when it shows, it comes, and when it rains, it pours. It really hits guys really quickly. So at 39 years old, you have to wonder what he will look like at this point in his career, because that's always a question that must be asked. But I definitely would favor him in this fight, just from a grappling standpoint. I don't see Jack being able to defeat Jacare in any other ways that he's done so far in his career, and the way he's really picked up his wins. The co-main event features Greg Hardy, and we've talked about him substantially about what is his value to the UFC. Clearly, they're going to continue placing him high on these cards. Clearly, they're going to continue booking him and getting as much out of him as they possibly can, unless if he washes out. He's already lost that first fight via disqualification. They brought in Dmitry Samalikov. Yeah, Samalikov, I think that's how you say that, who last fought back in January 2019, and he fought 2 years before that and 36 years, 1-2, excuse me, in his last 3 fights. He fought in the UFC, went 0-2 in the UFC, and at the Asia Challenge in January this past year was brought back for this fight. Like I said, the UFC is going to continue placing Greg Hardy as high as possible. They're going to continue treating him as a star, because even though people hate him, they are going to continue talking about him, and that is going to generate revenue, generate interest, generate clicks. And what's interesting is that this narrative, the conversation around Hardy, has been widely missed for this upcoming fight card, I guess, because the way the last one went, and that this card is being placed on such a small scale, I don't think people are really watching it. I haven't heard too many individuals in MMA media talking about it on Twitter, talking about it anywhere, but it's still happening. He's still going to be on those cards. He's going to be continue. They're going to continue to book him how they see fit, and ESPN is going to continue to allow him to be booked. They have a part in this conversation as well. This isn't all just about the UFC, but this is a fight where I think he'll be able to get the win here. I don't know if Dimitri's going to be able to get the fight to the ground. I don't know if you want to see. I don't know too much about him per se, but let's see how his 2 UFC losses came. He's only been stopped twice in his career, and he went in. Actually, the 2 times he was stopped both happened in the UFC. So let's see how this fight goes down. I don't know too much about him, but we'll see how Greg Hardy looks. A couple other tidbits on this card here. I'm looking forward to the Oliveira and Mike Perry fight. I think that's going to be very violent. Cowboy always comes up here and does the thing as Mike, and we have to wonder about what Mike Perry we're going to get, because he doesn't. He's going back and forth between looking like the guy that we thought was like a really hot prospect when he came into the UFC and went on a 2 fight win streak, but since then he just continues to struggle. He's gone since he came in with that 2 fight win streak. He's gone 4-3. Excuse me, 3-4. Took that 3-4. He's coming off a loss against Donald Cerrone back in November, where his arm was broken, I believe. So let's see what he looks like coming in. But I think my pick, if I had to pick one, would be Alistair Overeem, just because he's a lot better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. I don't believe he's ranked at all. Let's see. At welterweight, he is not ranked at all. I mean, well, we all know UFC records don't really mean much, but he's not ranked at all. He's coming off of a loss to Gunnar Nelson. He is, let's see, how long has he been in the UFC? He's been in the UFC since 2015. He's put together a pretty good run in the company. He's 2-3, 2-1 in his last 3 fights, coming off a win against or loss to Gunnar Nelson back in December of 2018. So, but I'm just not too sold on Mike Perry, and I think that this should be a fight that Charles Oliveira should win. But I do definitely think it'll be a fun fight, a fun and a violent fight that can kind of get fans excited about both men. Let's see. Other things kind of stood out to me on this card as well. So if I sneeze, I apologize because the allergies have been running wild with me as Hulk Hogan used to do back in the day. We have Glover Teixeira fighting John Lineker as well. That John Lineker Corey Sandhagen fight definitely stands out to me because Sandhagen at 10-1 is someone we should kind of be paying attention to. He is 3-0 in the UFC but yet this is definitely the biggest step up in his career. So let's see kind of what he looks like in this fight there. But that fight is one I may pay special attention to. Takashi Sato, someone who's fought exclusively in Pancrase over in Japan, is fighting Ben Saunders. And this guy has 11 finishes to his career, 14-2 coming in. He is 28 years old, so he's still a young prospect. I am looking at this fight as if they're kind of putting Saunders, who is, I think, riding a 2 fight losing streak. Saunders, yep, he's riding a 2 fight losing streak. He is 36 years old. I don't think that he's going to be around too much after this battle here, but I am picking Sato to win that fight, and I want him to kind of look good there because we need to get some more Japanese prospects within the UFC. I'm always a big fan of fighters from different backgrounds coming in and being able to uh, carve out a name for themselves. So, like, let's look forward to this fight. Let's look and see what Sato does because I'm watching that fight because I think he's a prospect we need to be paying attention to. Then we have some more of our elder statesmen within the UFC. We have Andre Arlovski. He's out there again, riding. I think he's on a 2 fight losing streak. Let's see. Well, he's 0-2-1 in the last 3. I don't remember what happened with Walt Harris, but he is. I mean, Andre Arlovski is a heavyweight that just won't go away. But he's back out there at how old is he? He's 40. After doing his thing, we got Jim Miller, who's out there with how many years of experience in the UFC? He's been in the UFC for still scrolling back since 2008. So for 11 years, he's been in the UFC, and he is 1-1 in his last 2, 1-5 in his last 6. And he last competed against Charles Oliveira back in December when he was submitted in the first round. He's facing Jason Gonzalez. Again, I don't know too much about him. That would be probably Shawan's face to coming with a whole bunch of information. But he fought Gregory Gillespie back in September of 2017, and he lost there. He's been in the UFC since 2016, and only fought 3 times, going 1-2 during that run. So let's see what this guy looks like. He's only 29 years old, but I mean, never count out Jim Miller. You never. He's a fan favorite. He comes in there, and you know you're going to get action out of him. He's been around for a long time. Let's just see what he continues to look like. And on the women's side, we also got Court McGee and Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is coming off of a win And I'm wondering if he's going to do ADCC this year. I didn't see his name on the invites, but he won bronze back in 2017, so I would expect him to be on that invite list. He's coming off of a win, and he's the opening fight so far. Gilbert Burns is someone that I enjoy just because of his grappling background, but he's been able to get in there and continue to mix it up on the feet as well too. So I enjoy watching him fight. He's facing off against Mike Davis, Court McGee. I mean, Court McGee gonna get out there and do Court McGee things. This Diego Lima. On the women's side, we have Angela Hill and Carla Esparza will compete. Carla Esparza is getting a 14-0 prospect who this is her UFC debut. Yes, making her UFC debut from Invicta. I wonder if let me see something. Look a little bit at this woman fighting Carla Esparza on Saturday. The record stood out to me. So she was originally supposed to fight Vivier Sosa, but this yeah. So Vernia Janiroba is the she was the Invicta strawweight champion. She defended that title back in September of 2018. She won it back in March of last year. She it definitely stood out to me because her record stood out to me, especially coming through Invicta. She's undefeated there, definitely probably a champion at some point in time. So she had 3 fights in Invicta, her last 2 being around the belt. So she was the strawweight champion at 115 pounds coming into the UFC. So she should be interesting to watch. I mean, I think Carla Esparza, I mean, obviously she's a former UFC uh, strawweight champion, and she was a former Invicta strawweight champion as well, too. Um, so like, let's see what this fight looks like because that could be an interesting test for Carla there. And then we also have Angela Hill, who's stepping in last minute to replace her teammate Jessica Finney, fighting Jodie Esquibel. This is 8-6 fighter. This is 6-4 fighter. Angela Hill, I think she's fighting for her place on the roster. I think she would usually be on the roster if May didn't get injured. And she's stepping in for her last minute, so I think that's pretty big for her. But she's riding a 2 fight win streak. She's 1-3 in her last 4. So let's see what she looks like and if she can get this win. Since coming back to the UFC last minute against Jessica Andrade, she's 2-4. So if she loses here, I expect her to be out of the organization. Esquibel, I don't know too much about her. Let's see if I can correct. She's 6-4, also riding a 2 fight losing streak. She joined the UFC back in 2017, lost to Jessica Aguilar and Carolina Kowalkiewicz. And yeah, I mean, this fight is almost like a loser leaves town fight. Pink slip on a pole if you're a pro wrestling fan. But we'll see what each of these women can do. I mean, I think that they're both fighting for their career, not their career, but they're fighting for their spot on the UFC roster at this point in time. So we'll see what they look like coming out on Saturday. But like, as I mentioned, the card that really has my attention is the Bellator 220 card. Let me get some water real quick. Excuse me. Yeah. The card that really has my attention is this Bellator 220 card, where Rory McDonald and Job Fitch are fighting in a semifinal for they're fighting in the semifinals for the UFC, oh, excuse me, the Bellator welterweight Grand Prix. They're fighting in the semifinal for that, but Rory McDonald's welterweight title is also on the line. And I'm interested in a couple of different things here. On one hand, we have McDonald, who's coming off of that one-sided, I'm not going to say blow, but just a one-sided beating he took at the hands of Gegard Mousasi. And that came back in September last year. He was riding a 2 fight winning streak over the welterweights. He defeated Douglas Neal and Paul Daly. But then that fight against Gegard, man, he just did not look good. Finished in the second round. Finished violently. A lot of people attributed it to the size difference between the two. Uh, it just didn't look good. Dropped the finish. And you have Fitch, who has not lost since 2014, where he had his knee basically ripped apart by Usman Faharas. I mean, Fitch is Fitch. Fitch is going Fitch. I mean, even since that fight in 2014, he left the UFC. in 2013. Since then, he's been a Yushin Okami, Jake Shields, Brian Foster, Paul Bailey. Those are some not huge wins, but they're some of the best wins you can get if you're outside of the UFC, especially that win over Jake Shields. And now he's in a position to get that Bellator welterweight title and kind of remain around the. I mean, remain within the conversation of the best welterweights in the game right now. He's 41 years old. He's still doing jobbish things. So I'm interested in seeing what he looks like. It looks like against the younger, but I don't want to use the term damage. So younger, but mm, slightly worn, slightly shot worn, Warren McDonald, because McDonald's taken some strikes. He's taken some brutal beatings. I mean, we know about the two fights with Robbie Lawler. We know about the fight with Carlos Condit. We know about the fight with Douglas Lima. I mean, the Stephen Thompson fight, he didn't look great after that as well. We've seen him take some damage, and now he's still out there doing his thing. Still forget how young he is. He's only 29 years old. He has 25 professional fights, but you have to wonder how much more of that level of violence he can take. I don't think he'll get that level of violence against Fitch on Saturday because that's just not Fitch's style. But we have to wonder just how much he can take over the course of his career and whether or not he's going to remain in that in the upper echelon of welterweight fighters much longer. I mean, he is the organization welterweight title holder. His belt's on the line on Saturday, and he's also fighting to move forward in the Grand Prix. So let's see how that kind of plays out. I question why he elected to do that, knowing he was going to fight Gegard Mousasi and knowing that his belt will be on the line every time he fought. I wonder what his contract looks like with that in mind, because that's definitely a lot of stakes and a lot of pressure that's being put on him there. Illima-Lei McFarlane is fighting Veta Ortega, which I think is a pretty interesting fight there. Illima-Lei has been dominant as champion. I think she's going to win this bout as well. She's growing as a name within the industry. Let me see. Let me look at something, because one thing I like to use. Illima-Lei McFarlane. How do I find her Instagram profile? There we go. So she has 73K followers. She's fighting at 125. I think, Bellator is smart. They are an organization that promotes particular women in a certain way. I mean, we've seen it, we've joked about it. I would pay attention to what they intend on doing with Valerie Lareda. Me personally, I don't think Valerie has anything to offer Lima right now at all at this point in her career. Whoops. I think Valerie is just too green for Illima-Lei, but we definitely do know that that's probably the direction that they're trying to go to with her at some point in time in the future. She's doing all the things that the target demographic want for the sport, but the Eliminator, I think that's a dangerous fighter. She's going to I think she's going to be around this flyweight division for a very long time. I think that she's someone that they should keep around. Back to truck up to keep continues to look better every time she goes out there and fights. She's been in deep fights. She's been able to survive the storm there. Like her last three fights have gone off, have all gone into the third round with that eliminated Ducati fight going into the fifth. She's like I'm definitely someone who stops what they're doing to watch when she fights. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. I don't know too much about her opponent in Ortega there. She's riding winning streak. She is she's 4-2. So let's see what she really kind of looks like in this fight as well. This is the co-main event 5-round fight there. I'm wondering what how she'll be. We also have this Phil Davis and Ian McGarry fight. This is important here because I wrote about it yesterday. It came out today, but Rory McDonald, Ryan Bader, his next fight has been announced to be against Czech Congo at heavyweight sometime this summer. So, but what Scott Coker also said is that this fight between these two Davis and McGarry could be a fight that is looked at as the number one contender fight for the light heavyweight title. So both of these men are former champions. I don't think either one of them will beat Bader, but we've seen worse things happen. We've seen some other surprising things happen as well. So I think that this is an important fight for both men. I'm picking Davis to be able to do enough from a wrestling and submission defense standpoint to be able to hold Liam McGarry off. I think it'll be a lot of work on the ground, but I just can't see McGarry being able to submit Davis. I don't think Davis will get to submit McGarry as well. McGarry's a Henzo Gracie. I think he's a Henzo, or I don't want to call him a John Danaher black belt. But I think he trains with those guys up there, but he is a Henzo Gracie black belt. So we'll see how that fight looks. But I definitely am looking at Davis to get that win. Benson Henderson still doing the damn thing, trying to get this post UFC career on track. Let's see what he's been doing. His last couple of fights. I mean, he's 2-2 in his last four, but he's beat Roger Huerta and Saida Watts. So he's beating the non-big names and losing to the bigger names. Lost to Patricky Fier, lost to Michael Chandler, both by split decisions. The Patricky Fier fight he won when Patricky got hurt, but he was losing that fight at the time. He has a loss to Andre Corson too as well. Well, we forget, man, this guy has wins over Jorge ever sport. He's left the UFC in uh, 2016, his first Bellator fight with them. He hasn't been able to get that same type of steam going. I do think he's someone that we'll see in the title picture for the Bellator lightweight belt again. But I don't know if he defeats Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's that dude right now. I just think he's someone that is he's a dynamo within the sport. You can follow him on Instagram. Look at his workouts. The man looks like an action figure. Like he could step in Chris Evans at any moment and play Captain America. Who else is fighting on this card? Really filled with some local talent like they tend to do. We're bringing back the monthly interviews next week, so he will be on the show and we'll be talking to him on next Thursday. What am I working on this week? I have not put anything up for MMA ratings this week, but I may have something up later on in the week. Maybe a piece or something like that. Wrestling that I could possibly talk about. Maybe I'll put together a piece about this Sasha Banks. I don't know if it's controversy, but what's going on with her. As always, you can check out the Wednesday show that I do on professional wrestling where we talk about that. I'm going to start doing monthly interviews on that as well too. I have one coming up with a former writer for the WWE, so that should be pretty interesting. But I have that coming up, and I have a lot of different content that'll be up there. So as always, you can follow me at @rgarcia_sports to catch everything I'm doing. Adam Martin, he's on Twitter as well. His work is on MMA ratings. Shawan Humes, he just did a piece about Captain America. I think it's pretty interesting. You should check that out. That's on the site. And Michael Boyd is out there keeping us in check. So as always, be sure to catch our content. You can go to MMA Ratings Net to rate the fights and let us know what you thought of them. Um, but yeah, that's really it for this week. Short show, less than half an hour. Thank you for listening to us. We'll be back with Shawan next week, and he and I will probably ranting and raving about everything we've seen lately. So, like always, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and everybody have a great day and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Go see Avengers Endgame. Do not spoil it from you. Have a great night, everyone.